Hey guys, and welcome back to another speed build of my Super Mario World. This video is focused mostly on finishing up the outer parts of the temple, as well as finishing up the little tunnel by the side of the temple that's gonna lead to the next world. I built up this little section as like a tower, so I just made a square, and then I built it up kind of tall to give the front a little bit more interest, because I felt like the front was looking very flat. And then I also went into the cues and I changed the cue floor pattern from the like flat brown to more of a stone, because I felt like that fit the temple a little better. I didn't want the tower to look flat, so I added a lot of pillars and then some details on it just to kind of break up the flat wall, because it just looked kind of bare being just all stone. And then for the roof, I used the resort pieces that kind of look like the straw again, just to add like an extra texture, because I think just doing it in stone would have made it look really flat. For the very top part of this roof, I used like the rounder resort looking straw roofs to kind of fill in that empty space, and then I kind of built them up a little bit using pieces that get smaller as they go up, just to kind of add some interest. And then for the stone walls, I used a like detailing from the mythology theme, and I turned it to the same stone color, and I just kind of evenly spaced it throughout the wall to kind of break up all the stone a little bit more, and I think it adds a subtle but nice detail. I used a lot of these big pieces of marble stone just to kind of fill up a lot of the empty areas, to make it look like the temple is like old and falling apart because it's so run down. And I even put them on top of this platform that was above the bathroom, because I feel like it just kind of filled in that awkward space really nicely. Here I built like a long wall that the coaster is kind of running on, and then I ended up making it look like what some rides do, where it looks like you're supposed to go straight onto the track, but then the coaster kind of suddenly dips down and takes you down a hill. So I ended up putting a railroad track on that flat part after the coaster, to kind of give that illusion that like maybe you're supposed to go that way, but the coaster actually goes downwards kind of into this dark, moody tunnel of the temple. My game crashed again somewhere around this point when I was building the tunnel for the temple, so I had to redo some of it, but luckily again an autosave saved my life and I didn't have to redo too much of it. My goal with this tunnel part was to make it look like this area of the temple is like really run down and broken, so like it's almost kind of like dangerous to traverse through because of all the broken ruin pieces. So I ended up, after building the main structure of this tunnel, adding a ton of like fallen pillars and broken walls and a lot of those like ruined pieces to kind of make the area look like it's just like crumbling all around you. I tried to fill up the spaces first with a lot of big pieces of like ruins, and then filling in with little pieces, because if I just did only small pieces, it would have taken forever. Here is where I begin adding the like train track detail here, and I ended up making it look like the track is going to be going into a like dark tunnel, so I put an arch piece and like some black shapes behind it to kind of make it look like you're supposed to be going through that dark tunnel, but then instead the coaster goes down the hill. And then I ended up just filling in that space with like a bunch of, again, the ruined pieces, but then I also placed some wooden train track pieces to make it look like the actual train track has broken, and that's why you're kind of going on a different path. I struggled a lot when building the tunnel area for this ride because there's kind of two parts of this tunnel. There's one that is completely inside and it's like dark and moody, but then there's another tunnel part that is kind of more outside. It's just like encased in large walls, but there's no ceiling to it, so you get kind of like the natural light. And I struggled a lot with it just because of like all the curves and stuff. Like the curved walls you get in the game weren't really big enough to fit the train track in the way that I wanted it to, because I wanted the walls to be kind of tight and compact, so I had to use the square pieces, and it just kind of took a while to get like the shape and the spacing right using all of the square walls instead of the round ones. But once all the pieces are finally in place and I could add all like the details of the ruined pieces, it really did come out nice. I do like the way it looks, at least from like the coaster's perspective. I think it fits the theming really well. Once the temple is like completely finished, especially the outer parts, I'm gonna take a lot of those grass blocks that I made and kind of build up like a wall of those blocks to kind of enclose the world a little bit more from the other ones, as well as to hide some of like the ugly outer parts of the temple that, you know, don't really need to be made to look pretty because no one's going to be seeing it from where they are in the park. So I'm gonna probably build up those once the temple is completely finished, and I'm gonna be adding a lot of like the different animatronics and stuff to those as well, so you can kind of see them from all different parts of the park, even when you're like on the ride. At this part of the coaster, you kind of come out of the tunnel and then you come up on top of this little like platform of the building. It's almost kind of like a balcony, and then you go through, I put the animatronic gate, so you go through that and you're kind of in like another small dark room, and then you go up to the part of the coaster where it's like on the top part of the temple, and I ended up building a little like main feature to kind of go off once the coaster hits a certain trigger when you're on that like top platform. For the gate, I just used a lot of pillars and like different wall pieces to kind of hide the parts of the gate that I didn't want showing, because I didn't really want to size down the gate too much, because I was going to cover it up with stuff anyways to kind of hide it. So I just used a bunch of pillars and like ruined pieces like I have been using to kind of cover up the awkward look to the gate, since it's kind of like inside of the wall. I have probably placed down like thousands of pillars and these ruined pieces in this temple, because they're everywhere. Around here is where I start building the like rounded wall on the outer part of the tunnel, and it did take me a while because I kept accidentally making it too close to the coaster pieces, so when the car would go by, the guests would like hit their head on the wall, which obviously I didn't want that, so I had to kind of keep placing pieces and then checking to see like the guests going by on the coaster to make sure it wasn't too close to the track, and then I would end up having to move it out a little bit further anyways. But after like, I don't know, maybe like 20-30 minutes of trial and error, I finally got the spacing where I wanted it to, where it's still quite tight, so you kind of feel like you're close to all of the walls and stuff, but you're not like gonna actually hit the wall. After I got the shape of the walls right and I built everything up, I just kind of filled in the awkward like corners of this space with a bunch more of those ruined pieces and like marble blocks, just to kind of fill up any awkward spaces that looked a little funny. I'm saving showing the actual full ride until the whole thing is finished, because I want to make sure everything looks good from the coaster before I actually show it. So I still have to finish like the whole outside area too around the coaster after this part, because I built up some of the like blocks and stuff, but there's still parts by like the exit and stuff that I have to finish decorating, as well as some of the outside parts of this ride. I mostly got what's like right by the temple done, but there's still a lot that's kind of farther away from the temple that I have to still finish decorating. After adding the final details to the wall, I started to build the tunnel that the like fake railroad track goes into, and then I made a little sign too that says this way with an arrow kind of pointing down towards the track that like you're actually going on, because the track is supposed to be like broken. So I just kind of built up this little wall and added some like pillars and ruined pieces around it to again make it look like it's kind of old and run down. And then I used the same arch piece that I used in like the tunnel entryways, and just kind of used these black squares to make it look like it's supposed to go in that tunnel. I think when I finally start making the Mario Kart ride, I'm probably going to do parts of it in the vibe and aesthetic that I have going on in the main Mario world, where it's like a lot of the grass blocks and characters and animatronics, and then there's a few parts that kind of intertwine or are really close to the temple, so that will probably be more of like a desert and then this temple aesthetic, and then the rest of the ride I'm probably gonna build it to look like the Rainbow Road track in the Mario Kart games. I had this awkward space in between the different parts of the temple that I didn't really know what to do with, but I didn't want to just fill it up with more stone and more ruin pieces, because that was kind of everywhere on this ride. So I decided to kind of make a little bit of a like tropical jungle feature, because it kind of broke up all the stone and added a little bit of greenery to it and some movement. And I think it looks really nice here because it kind of fits the jungle temple aesthetic really well without just being more stone and more like broken pieces, which are like everywhere else in the ride. It just kind of added something to it that I think the ride needed. I did add lighting to some parts of this ride, but at some point I do have to go through like the entire ride and just make sure that everything is lit up the way I want it to be, because I always tend to save that for last for some reason. I don't know why, but I always just save the lighting for last. But I do add some lighting in some of these tunnels in this video as I'm building them. Somewhere on the actual Minecart Madness ride, there's like this monkey statue that looks like it's made out of different colored stones. So I wanted to put that on this big wall because I feel like it would fit the space nicely. I was originally going to build it out of the big stone pieces that I have been putting around the ruin, but it was a little too much, like it was kind of too chunky and it blended into the space a little too much, so I ended up just using the different shape pieces we had, and then I only used the square stone pieces that I've been using for the little green part behind the monkey's eyes because it added a little bit of texture, but the rest of it is just built with the different shapes that we have in the game. I ended up adding into the mouth, because its mouth is open, I ended up adding some fire that goes off as you like go by it, just to kind of give this area a little bit more movement and make it feel a little bit more interactable than it just being like a design piece. I did end up taking the stone arch that I built for the entryway and kind of putting that right around this monkey statue, just to kind of add a bit more texture to the wall and to kind of tie it into all the stone that's around it. And then I wanted it to be lit up really well so you could see it even from away from the ride. I added the fire feature, and then on the little like stone detail I put in the middle of the arch, I ended up putting the banana that I put on the entryway as well, because I just kind of felt like it was fitting. Once that was done, I just filled up this space a little bit more with more of those like ruined pieces, but I didn't build it up too high because again, I wanted people to be able to see the monkey feature from anywhere in the park, not just on the coaster. So I just kind of built it up a little bit and then filled in the rest of it with like pillars and smaller pieces. I ended up filling in some of the awkward spaces between like the Mario Kart ride and the temple with some of those green blocks, because I'm probably going to build up those a little bit just to kind of keep the two rides a little bit closed off from each other. And I'll probably put like some of the animatronics and stuff that I have built maybe on top of it, but I still have to figure out like the exact shape of the grass block walls around this area. After that, I began working on the gift shop. I still had to finish placing all of the shelving, and then once I got the shape of it down, I just kind of added the details. I ended up adding the archways as like the entryway into the area, and then I blocked off some of the wall with like barriers so guests wouldn't be walking through the walls. And then I ended up placing a picture of Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong somewhere in the gift shop, and I changed all of like the shelving colors to match the vibes. This area is very simple in like the decorations and the color scheme. It's just kind of taking all the stuff from the temple and just putting it in here, because this is just kind of like a little tunnel walkway that's going to lead to the next world that I'm going to build. So I didn't want to put too much in it because it's just a pathway. So it's just the gift shop, and then towards the front of the tunnel closer to the Mario land, I just put a couple of bathrooms, and then I think I put a guest information shop, and then the rest of it is just kind of filled up with lighting and benches. I ended up using these like bamboo torches from the resort pack because I felt like it was fitting and I liked the way they looked. Since it's very Donkey Kong themed in this gift shop, I definitely had to add the bananas. Like, I didn't have a choice with that. So I ended up putting them on the little gift shop sign, but then I ended up taking the idea that I did in the Yoshi gift shop, where I took that like squiggly line decoration piece. I think it's like a wall decal, and I just placed that on the top with like a yellowish and I think a green color, and then I just placed the bananas on it like every other little squiggle, just to kind of add some interest to the walls and make it look kind of fun and cartoony. I copied that design for pretty much all the walls. There's a few that I did leave blank with this detail just because I didn't want it to be too busy, but I did want to put it on the archways that you enter through because I kind of like how the bananas kind of peek through the opening. I didn't want this tunnel to be as moody as some of the other places in the temple, so I did add a lot of lighting to all parts of this tunnel so it's a little bit brighter, but I did keep it as like a more orange toned lighting to still kind of give that moody effect. I think when this tunnel leads into the next world, I think the next world I'm going to do is a Spyro one. I do want to build like a big Spyro themed ride and like make it like super intricate, which I'll probably make a video on, but I thought it would be a really pretty land to try and recreate with all like the different portals. And I'll probably make like the main area, like I think it's called Dragon Shore in the game, with just like a lot of grass and like whimsical greenery and all the different like Spyro creatures, and I think it would kind of fit the video game area too, being like right next door to the Mario world. Here I'm just kind of adding the finishing touches to this like tunnel with just like the walls and the different pillars and stuff, and then I ended up using the benches that have the barrels on them because I think it kind of fit the Donkey Kong theme, and then with all like the bamboo lighting and stuff, it kind of adds a nice look to the tunnel. But I wanted to keep it kind of simple, so after that I just kind of added all the different lighting and then kind of called it a day with the tunnel. I might add a few more like wall decoration pieces to that area, but for now I just kind of moved on to filling up the outer part of this area with the grass blocks, which the minecart coaster is going to kind of go around. I also built the grass blocks up around the tunnel to kind of make it look like you have to actually go into all of like the Mario mountains that I've been building to get through there. So I did add like the pillars and some of the details to kind of make it look a little bit fancier, and then I just placed all the grass blocks around it. And then at some point I added some of the animatronics that I had made for the other parts of this world onto some of the grass blocks, and then I just kind of, spiced it up a little bit with some of the plants and continuing on the Princess Peach wall, because at this point, kind of like all the three different aesthetics I have going on in this world are kind of like meeting in this area as you go to exit, so I kind of wanted to incorporate all the different pieces and stuff that I have been using from all the other aesthetics as well. Just like the other parts in this world too, I kind of want to play around with the height of the different like grass blocks just to kind of add some interest. I ended up reusing the caterpillar guy I made because I really liked him and he fit really nicely in this area, so he was kind of fitting for it. Here I also ended up building those like little red piranha plants that like come out of the tube. It took a while to get it to kind of look how I wanted it to. I still don't think it's perfect, but I don't think it's bad. I think it kind of looks good from afar when you're walking around as a guest, but I do also want to add some more of these around the other parts of the park that I have the other animatronics on, as well as I also want to add it to the Mario Kart ride. These plants remind me a lot of Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. For me, this piece didn't really start coming together until I added the teeth. I ended up using the like pointy cone pieces to make the teeth, and that was kind of when I really started to see the vision start to come to life. I do have a whole area kind of in the front of the Mario world that I've already built. It's still a little bit of a work in progress. I still have to finish up a lot of buildings in it. It's kind of like the entryway into the park. That's where like the entrance is, and I do plan on giving a tour at some point, and maybe even kind of doing the finishing up of that part in a video. It's kind of like a celestial kind of vibe. It has a lot of like gold and blue and some like sun and moon kind of imagery, but I also kind of add a lot of like fairy lights and stuff to it as well to kind of make it look whimsical. When I finished up this piece, I did put it on a radial animatronic piece just so it would have a little bit of movement, as well as the other animatronics, but once I finish this, we can go right into the tour. And that's about everything in this video, so thank you for watching.